So I noticed in our bathrooms that there were these metallic posters bolted into every student bathroom starting in kindergarten, giving the National Suicide Hotline, the Trevor Project, which is an LGBT suicide hotline, and a bully hotline. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, and it was on my 5-year-old level, okay, very low. And I thought, I'm going to text this hotline and pretend to be a kid and see what they say. So I texted the National Suicide Hotline, which is 988, and I said, I'm unsure of my gender. I'm scared about puberty. What should I do? Now, of course, they made sure that I wasn't going to commit suicide, so they asked all the proper questions. But then they wanted to know my age, but I didn't give it. And then they said, well, you're not going to commit suicide, so we see that you just need to explore your gender because you're confused. So they sent me a text, and I screenshot all of this, which was the Trevor Project. And then they sent me a Trevor Space text. And they said, this is where you can go to explore your gender in a safe place. So I did exactly what they told me to do. But right after I got off the phone, they sent me a survey. And this survey gave me 11 genders to choose from, or I could name my own. So I'm like, wow, they are using the suicide hotline as an indoctrination tool to normalize all of these genders.
5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, first graders, right?
Well, they had an age survey too, and the age survey started from 0 to 10. So it's obvious they are planning this for these young kids to be using these suicide hotlines.
What do you think is their end goal?
Well, let me go on with my story, and then I'll tell you what I think their end goal is, sure. Okay? So as I followed their directives, I went to trevorspace.org, and I would encourage any of your listeners to do what I did. Of course, I didn't talk on the phone because I don't sound like a 5 or 6 or 7 or 8-year-old. I did everything by text. That way I could screenshot it. So when I went to trevorspace.org. It said it was for 13 to 24-year-olds. And by the way, I have all the screenshots on my website, brendaforkids.com with the number 4, Brenda
all the
for
links
Kids.
In the description, yeah.
Okay, great. And when I went to it, first of all, I thought 13 to 24-year-olds, they're mixing minors with adults.
Yeah, 24-year-olds.
That's a red flag, right? So I made up an email, and I put in a date of birth that reflected a 13-year-old, and I got in a matter of seconds. I'm in my 50s. So what that tells me is random adults, unvetted adults, can have access to these chat spaces with kids that are supposed to be exploring their gender and sexuality, okay, in the Trevor space. When I went in, I saw alarming chat spaces. I didn't have any conversations with kids, but I saw kids talking. I'm assuming they were kids, but some were saying, I'm lonely and need a friend. I saw a lot of that. I'm lonely and need a friend. And somebody would pop in and say, I'll be your friend, hugs, hugs.
And what year was that? Prior to the pandemic?
No, it was after the pandemic.
Because pandemic caused a lot of loneliness.
Correct. Then I saw chat spaces like The Chosen Family. So we'll be a new family if your parents don't agree with this. That's what cults do. Mm-hmm. They had the Witchcraft Club. They had non-binary pals. They had the Furries Club, pretend to be an animal. Yeah. They had Guilt and Secrets Club, share your secrets with us. They had the Regressor Space, which is age identity. Means that you can be a 50-year-old man and say that you're a 16-year-old girl.
What?
That's age identity. Regressors. You're going to regress to a different age, a younger age.
You're a 50-year-old man, pretend to be and feel like you're a 16-year-old boy.
Correct.
And you want to date
regressor.
Another 16-year-old girl.
Right.
That's called pedophilia.
Yes.
Please continue.
They had a gay men's club, but the tagline was, let's talk about boys.
Gay men's club.
That said, let's talk about boys in the tagline. This is what I saw. And so I would encourage anyone to do what I did and go in there and look at it for yourself, because you'll see it. And then I saw this one thing I found alarming, and I wrote an article about it. It said, ask Sam Brinton anything. So Sam Brinton is someone who helped in 2019. He was one of the executors of Trevor Project. And then he was hired in, I think, 2021 to be Biden's nuclear waste executive director.
How does that align?
I don't know. It's bizarre. But that's true. You can Google it, and it's all there. He was fired a year later because he had a felony of stealing women's luggage out of airports.
That's the guy. Oh, man.
That's Sam Brinton. Yes. He's
Look, why?
Yes, he goes by the pronoun of they, and he says he's non-binary. He's part of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, the drag queens. So, but think about this. He is the one on Trevor Space that is the guru, mentor for the kids. So kids are sending him questions, and then he comes up with these videos and answers their questions. And this is a man who, or woman, whatever you want to call him, they, them, who in colleges is leading workshops on BDSM, how to strangle somebody erotically without hurting them or killing them.
Really?
Yes. Yes. I wrote articles about him. So this is the guy, the person who is giving sex advice to the kids on Trevor Space. And that they're looking up to is just this amazing person. He's telling them how to come out to their parents. His parents supposedly were Baptist missionaries.
And no one bats an eye that he's doing that.
I don't know. I've tried everything I can to expose this, and it's still there. What I did is I told my community. I did turn it in to the police, and I had my community expose it. We took big posters and showed these different chat spaces, and we brought it out in Spanish so, our community would be alerted about this. And then Pacific Justice Institute wrote a letter. I brought some lawyers in on this to say that this is a liability issue for the district. The district did in April 2023, removed all of the metallic posters out of the bathrooms. However, you'll still see it on our website, Trevor Project, because Trevor Project is literally used they use all the Trevor Project statistics to justify deceiving parents for like AB 1955, the identity support plan, so kids can transition in school without parent knowledge or consent. So if you read any of Attorney General Bonta's letters, or any of Newsom, or even Rachel Levin, the Secretary of State for Human Services, they all
Rachel Levin is a man pretending to be a woman, right?
Correct. Yes, she's the transgender Secretary of Health for our nation under Biden. So
health.
Correct.
Keyword.
Secretary of Health, yes. And so they all always promote and use Trevor Project as their statistics and their justification for all these policies to deceive parents, saying that Trevor Project is the expert on suicide prevention for LGBTQ plus kids and youth.
Were there any suicides?
I really don't know all of that statistics. Yeah, I don't know. But I know that Trevor Project is really great at, I don't trust their statistics at all because I have, added myself to their emails. I get their emails, and what they're doing is just completely ridiculous. Like, they'll send out these surveys, and then they'll base their statistics on these surveys. Well, I tested it out. I'm in my 50s. Mm-hmm. I took the survey myself. Yeah. I took it multiple times just to show that how easy it is for any special interest group to hijack this process and to get the outcomes that they want.
Yeah, to manipulate the polls.
Oh, totally. Yes.
So in your opinion, what's their end goal? What do they want to do?
Well, I think for one, they want to sterilize kids before they graduate, because when you get kids confused about their gender And then you have the children's hospitals that are now working with our schools in the wellness centers, such as in Orange County. Chalk Hospital is partnering with our schools, and they have a gender clinic. And that's a whole other story. I know LA does. I know San Diego does. The Rady's Children's Hospital and the LA Children's Hospital, they're working with our schools. So I believe the end goal, there's a few of them, but one is because as a union member and an insider, as state delegate, actually, yeah, I still am. I'm an alternative right now because I do try to attend and have access to their documents so that I can alarm people and tell them what's really going on. I try to tell teachers, but a lot of them they're too afraid, or they just want their union to keep giving them raises. And so they want to just put their head in the sand. They don't want to get involved. And that's unfortunate because it's affecting their rights as parents and it's affecting our society as a whole. So in
we're going to feel the consequences in 20 years.
Oh.
We have to wait till those kids are going to grow up, till they're going to turn 30 to 40. They're
Absolutely.
going to be very angry.
Even now they're starting to become parents, and for the next generation. So in 2020, the California Teachers Association passed a business item saying that kids should have access to puberty blockers and hormone therapy without parent knowledge or consent because it provides equity. Their rationale was that kids can get birth control, and birth control are hormones. So since those are for cisgender kids, cisgender meaning heterosexuals, then, or kids that identify as their sex assigned at birth, as they call it, then we should have kids that are gender nonconforming also have those same rights to get their hormones.
Can the kids get a right to get testosterone, steroids? No, it's illegal. But those are hormones as well. So that's discrimination. If they're letting me to choose as a child, as a kid, to get access to a hormone, I should be able to get steroids. Why not?
Exactly. There's a lot of double standards, So this isn't law yet, but it is in process. I mean, we're getting there. And usually when the union passes a business item, their end goal is to create a law with it. Yes, absolutely. So that's where it's going.
So sterilization.
Sterilization is definitely one. I've looked at like the Planned Parenthood A through Z glossary. Planned Parenthood is also in our wellness centers, working also with the children's hospitals. And their glossary is unbelievable. They have words, they're normalizing words like eunuch, like chemical and physical castration. They basically make it sound like it's a method to remove gender dysphoria, to decrease suicide in kids with gender dysphoria, chemical and physical castration.
How does a penis cause a sense of taking your life?
Because they're saying your body is not aligned with who you identify with psychologically. So they want to align those two together.
But sterilization means less population of the U.S., right? So they basically hate the Americans? Why do they do that?
I think
there has to be a reason.
The whole climate change, even though I'm not an expert on climate change, that whole thing, if you notice, those things all go together because the climate change is basically, we're just, the population, it's destroying our planet. The amount of trash that the carbon dioxide that we produce and all these things, we're destroying our own planet. So it's like, well, we got to reduce the population in order to save the planet.
How about China or India? Both countries combined almost 3 billion people, right?
Yeah, I totally with you on that. But this is how I am reading their rationale.